Hey guys, it's Lida. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Happy Vlogmas Day 6. And for today's video, we will be doing a podcast episode with my husband. We originally have the Fa and Pansit podcast where we talk about issues or concerns relating to newlywed or newly married couples. So it would be interesting to talk about a few things with my husband, who is full of wisdom, by the way.
um not well, I mean, I'm
Come
still
on.
very naive,
Yeah,
so
naive certain aspects here and there, but overall very wise. So for
thank you.
today's episode, we will be talking about the Newlywed Diaries, surprises, adjustments, and big changes. So I purposely didn't tell you the question so that you can just give me answers
Honest
right on the
answers.
spot.
Okay.
Okay, so with the topic for this one, we're talking about adjusting to married life, the transition from dating to marriage, and the early changes from your experience. Okay?
Okay.
So the first question is, what has surprised you the most about married life so far?
What has surprised me the most? I don't think there's a lot of things that surprised me, because when we were still dating, that we didn't have to change a lot for each other.
Yeah.
So it wasn't much of a surprise when we finally got married, things like that. I just feel like it's just another step forward to our life, but not necessarily like a big change. Yeah, so I think that's one good thing, is that we lived our life feeling like we are already like a married couple, so that when we do get married, there are things like there might be things that people are like, wow, you completely changed after the wedding, like you completely did like a 180. But it wasn't like that for us, so that's a good thing, that we didn't have to change anything. Like whatever I have seen when we were still dating, anything, it's still the same. So
Yeah.
it wasn't like a big surprise or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't really have any surprises. We probably lucked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it's like that as well, because I'm really thankful for our relationship in general, whether it was when we were dating or as a married couple, because I feel like loving was just very easy. I didn't have to impress him. I didn't have to, put on makeup or here and there. I didn't have to change anything about who I am, because you accepted me for who I am before, going into a relationship. Like, because I showed you how genuine I was, and you showed me how genuine you were. And because of that, there wasn't anything that needed to be changed. And I wasn't surprised at all when we were together already in the house. Plus, I think we've already established, or we've talked about a lot of things already relating to our future while we were still dating. So whatever happened after the marriage, it wasn't really a surprise for me, because we just know each other already too well.
Yeah, same with me.
Was there a moment when you realized, wow, we're really married now?
Yes. There were lots of moments, like after the wedding, when we passed by the place that we got married, like the church, the venue. It really wowed me then. Because it was such a long process. It took us 1 year to plan the whole thing out.
Yep.
And it was such a stressful situation. There were so many changes. There were people dropping out, and then there were a lot of things that made the decisions difficult. And sometimes it was really, really difficult to deal with. Like I know we had a lot of fights.
That's true.
During the
That's
planning
true.
process.
Yeah.
And thank God, like the marriage is over now.
No, like the ceremony, not the marriage.
Sorry, that's the wrong way to put it. The ceremony is over now, because planning the whole thing out, messaging all of the venues, all of the vendors, trying to coordinate everything, that was such a pain. Like I know there are a lot of venues out there that did their own, like that have their own advisory and it helps the couple plan out the things. But for us, we did it ourselves.
Yeah.
So it was such a stressful situation. And
Yeah.
now that we're finished, looking back, I'm like, wow, we did that within 1 year. Save up the money for the wedding, plan out everything, invite people, make sure everything during the day goes well. Besides the fact that I forgot the ring at the church, but other than that, I think it really did wow me looking back at it, and we actually did it.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people out there who I know, I'm not saying a lot, but like there are most people out there who have not been able to achieve what we have achieved at 23 years old, because we got married at 23 years old. And other people out there are still struggling with their own career choices, things like that, which is fine. But yeah, it's just amazed me of what we did achieve within the past year.
Yeah. Me too. It did amaze me, especially after the wedding itself, because the wedding day was just so smooth. I feel like the whole process was just chaotic. There's lots of fights. We've never had that many fights in just a short period of time until we got to the time when we were, trying to coordinate everything for the wedding. But after the wedding day was over, and that's it, like you're just shocked that, oh, what the heck, we actually did all of that ourselves with very minimal help, from other people. And I think the fights were just worth it, because otherwise we won't be able to make it to where we are.
Yeah, the reason we had fights was because of communication.
We communicate,
like,
that's why.
The problem was both of us, obviously we're both different people, right? So we both want different things, this and that. And the reason why we fight a lot is because we share our opinions to each other instead of hiding those opinions. So, and then some people will be like, well, if it's better to avoid the fight and then hide your opinion, isn't that better? But then no, I wouldn't say so, because the wedding should be catered to both people. The both of you are getting married, not just one person, and not the other. So both of you should have a say in planning out the wedding. So if you feel like you want to hide whatever is from your partner, I feel like you shouldn't, even if it's gonna end up in a fight, because at least you can communicate with each other and you get your message across.
That's true.
So that the emotion doesn't build up. Because for example, if you don't want something in the wedding and then your partner wants another thing and then you kind of hide that feelings, eventually it's gonna explode and the marriage will be over before you even know it.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, I feel the same as well, because communication is really, really, really important to me, especially because normally brides are become, like bridezilla. They're like, oh, I want to make this decision and this decision. I'm different though, because I want him to have a choice. Like, I always bring it up to him. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? Pros and cons here and there, because at the end of the day, it's really not just about me. Even if I'm the one wearing the big white gown, it's also his wedding. It's two different people becoming one for this special occasion. So communication is always there for us, and that's why we fight. But then, it's finished, and wow, we did actually make it. What is the hardest part of transitioning from being a couple to a married couple?
It's similar to the first question where I said we didn't have to change up for each other. So I don't think it wasn't hard at all to be a married couple, because we kind of already act like one when we were just dating.
True.
So to be honest, it wasn't difficult at all.
Honestly, for me as well, it's just like any other day. A few people did actually ask me, oh, what is it like now that you're married? I'm like, it's just like any other ordinary day. It's just the wedding day was something else, but then after that, it's just like any other day. And it's not a bad thing, because we're just so used to each other that we're not like, wow, really? Is that how you are? Is that really how you are? Like,
The main things to avoid is having your family in the decision of your ceremony.
Mm.
So I think that's one thing that we also learn from is that your family should not be your deciding factor. You should
Yeah.
be your own deciding factor of
That's
what
right.
you want in your marriage.
Yeah.
I understand that because of cultural differences, it might not be the same, like it might not be going smoothly as always.
Mm.
But try to listen to your partner, try to understand from her or his point of view,
Mm.
and then sort the situations out among yourself.
Yep.
Don't ask your family
Mm.
for advices, and if you want advices, maybe ask for a third person like your friend,
Yeah. Not.
because your friend are someone closer to your age, because when you ask your parents, they would tend to look towards your way a bit more.
That's true.
Yeah, so if you ask like another person, like a friend who is close with the both of you, then they'll be able to give you an honest opinion,
Yeah.
more unbiased view.
Yeah. True. That's true. And yes, I did understand that now. And for me, it's not only applying to marriage, but it won't only apply to the wedding day, but also to your relationship together as a couple with the kids, things like that, that you need to decide on your own with your partner, because at the end of the day, it's just going to be you and your partner, like together. Yeah. How do we adjust to each other's routines or habits now that we live together full time?
Again, nothing.
What do you mean? Like in terms of
we don't have to
pooping?
we don't have to adjust much. That's the thing. Because like I said, we don't have to change much with each other, so
True.
that means we don't have to adjust much about who we are with each other. I think the problem is with a lot of couples is that when you're still on the dating stage, you don't really show your true self to your partners.
Yeah.
You're still like, oh, I still want to be with them, so like there are a few things that I should leave out
Yeah, like,
of their lives, like for example,
hiding your fart or
hiding your farts or
burp.
yeah, like just those kind of things. It's natural, but when you're still dating, a lot of people avoid those kind of things just because they think their partner might be grossed out, which I get it, right? But because of that, when you start living together, when you got married, and then you show a bit more of yourself, and then your partner's like, hold on,
this isn't what I married.
this is not who I married at all.
Yeah.
Like you are completely different after the marriage. So
Yeah.
like that's the thing. I feel like if you really want a strong, healthy relationship, after a certain while, after knowing your partner, you should start to show more of yourself.
Yeah.
Be truthful about who you are with your partner, that they know what to expect.
Mm.
And if they still stay with you after that time, then you know you're settled.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, that's a common mistake for other people, which I get because everyone is different anyway, but at least for us, that is a common factor for us, is that we just want to show our true self to each other. And I don't want to hide anything that could ruin our relationship in the future. And I don't want to feel that, oh, you're very different now that we're married, things like that. Because honestly, we did not feel that at all. Like I said, the day after the wedding is just like any other day for both of us. So we're incredibly lucky with each other. It's because loving is just so easy for us. Yeah. Do we feel like we're growing together or growing apart?
Growing together. Growing old, growing together.
Yeah.
Because the both of us are still very young. Okay, here's the thing, right? I believe, this is my personal belief, I believe it's better to marry, not start a family, but to marry early than to marry late. Because when you marry early and you're still developing your career, your life, trying to figure out what you want to be in the future, I think it's a process of growing with each other, of growing old with each other. And I think it's a beautiful thing. Like some people are like, oh, I don't want to get married until I have my whole life settled down. I don't want to get married until I know I'm like, for example, the manager of a company, right? I want my full career first, which is fine. Again, like everyone has a different opinion, but to me, my belief is that it's better to grow with each other than to already succeed in something and then waiting for your partner to get there on your level, or to, or when you guys are already established, right? Because when you guys are already established, you guys will feel a lot more pride about who you are as a person, and that will make it very difficult for you to, when you're first starting out, for example, let's say this person is of a high position, and then this person is also of another high position, right? There's gonna be a clash.
Yeah.
Because you both now have high pride in yourself.
Yeah.
And one person will not back off, and neither is the other person in like conversation.
That's true.
Right? So there's gonna be a lot of conflicts because you just have a high ego, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this is for everyone, but from what I understand, this is the case. So it's better to, if you have the opportunity to do so, not start a family early, but get married and get to be with your partner early, so that you guys can develop, you guys can grow together, not as a person but also as a couple.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And it's just better for you to grow together and to see, the struggles and the success of each other, because that also shapes your relationship, like your love for each other. Because love is such a big word. Like, it's not only about, physical, emotional, like, aspects of the relationship or of that person. It's also a lot of factors around it, like career, plans for the future, things like that. It shapes how you feel about that person. And I agree with the ego and the pride, because some people, oh, I'm like this and you're just like that, and then that will affect how you treat each other, especially for those people that there is really a big difference between, the career choices. And yeah, I didn't want that to happen to us. So thankfully for us, we are growing together, we are figuring out things on our own. Like, we share each other's concerns about career and things like that, and because of that, our relationship is stronger, because we know that, oh, my husband is having a rough time, things like that, or my wife is having a rough time figuring out this and that, and then you give advices to each other, and you know more about how a person thinks because of that, which you won't know if you've already established everything. Because what else is there to do once you've already done everything? Build a family. What if the way you guys think before you even build a family is different? Wouldn't it be harder if you guys have kids already? That's why some people just stay in the marriage just because of the kids. And we don't want that to happen to us. Because the first priority for this family and this marriage will be us, you and I, not the kids. The kids will be after. Okay. So, advices to reflect on. Tell me if it's true or not. Marriage isn't always the fairy tale you expect.
True. Yeah. It's not always what you fantasize about. It will never go your way all the time. Now that you're married, you have to compromise for not just you, but also her. So it's going to be the both of you.
Yeah.
Your decision should not be reflected based on one person and not the other. Your decision should always be reflected on what the both of you want. Basically compromising.
Yep.
So meet in the middle. All the way through. Because it wouldn't be fair if one person want one thing and then they enforce it to the other person, and then the other person doesn't like it. It's not a healthy relationship. I know it's more challenging, difficult, and tiring to compromise on decisions, but I think compromising on decisions is probably better than just following what one person say.
That's true. And I agree with that as well. And it's not really a fairy tale. Fairy tale is like, oh, the guy is always going after the girl, things like that. That's not the case with marriage. Like, you chase each other pretty much. Goals, dreams, fights, things like that. You chase each other. You want things to be done a certain way together. And that is the big difference between a fairy tale and a real marriage. So in what ways has it been different than what you imagined, marriage?
Can you repeat that?
Sorry. In what ways has it been different than what you imagined? Married life.
When we're talking about what I fantasize for married life, I would say, I think this one kind of goes hand to hand with being an adult. When I fantasize about being married life, is that we have more freedom, being together, we're able to stay with each other a lot more, things like that. But because we're adults, we have different types of work, we got different fields that we're working in. I think it's difficult because there are days that we don't spend much time with each other, while there are days that we get to spend time with each other. So I think being an adult just kind of, removes that fantasy about always together all the time. Yeah, we have to work towards saving for a house, saving for our future children. There's a lot of things to consider. So because that topic goes into the situation, it's kind of made it not as what I fantasized.
Yeah,
but even then, that is a part of what being an adult is like.
that's true.
Yeah.
And I agree 100% because Henry and I were very clingy with each other. And after we got married, we were like, oh, this is good. We're always going to be together. Like, because it's hard, with just, being two separate houses, just good night here and there. And then you see each other. You only see each other for a couple of hours. But then once you're an adult and you're working a lot, you rarely see each other. You go back to just text messages, and that's kind of, it's not a bad thing, but it's just something that we didn't really expect early on. So we were like shocked. We were like, oh, what are we gonna do? Is our marriage gonna be okay? Things like that, because we weren't used to that, and that's not how we were thinking. But because of how we are, and communication is the key, we've kind of adjusted to it already. And one thing that I did fantasize about is looking after my husband in general, because I know that people will say, oh, that's just, what is it called, stereotype, gender role, things like that. Like, I want to cook for you, I want to feed you, I want to look after you in general. But for me, I wanted to do that. Like, for example, if I know that he's got a long day at work, I want to, you okay?
Yeah.
I want to look after him. I want to give him food. I want to make sure everything's ready, so that he can rest as well. Because being in the house after work is his way of unwinding. He doesn't go out. He doesn't really go out with friends. He doesn't really go to places. He just likes being at home. He's like a couch potato. And I think that
it's good being a couch potato.
Yeah, I agree. And the last thing that we'll talk about is, just answer this question if it's true or false. The first year of marriage is the hardest.
I agree. Yes. The first year of marriage is the hardest because if you are not living as a married couple already, like if your relationship is just dating and you're not just to that same level of commitment yet, then once you become a married couple, that big feelings of, oh, now I'm committed to this person, right? There are a lot of other activities that I'm not supposed to be doing. Like, for example, if the guys like to go out clubbing, but the girl doesn't like to go out clubbing, right? When you're still dating, I get it. Like, you still have the opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
Because there's no strong sense of commitment yet. So you can still be going out clubbing late at night while she's just at her home, right? Doing her own things. When you get married and then when you move in together, that sort of activities needs to be considered about how she feels as well.
Yep.
Because now she's your wife. Now she's the one that you're going home to. You have to consider, is she okay with that?
Yep.
And I know there are a lot of people who struggle with that kind of things because when they get married, those kind of decisions that they used to do by themselves, completely gone. You have to take into consideration of how she feels as well, of how he feels, of the budgeting as well.
Yeah,
because
we'll talk about that in another vlog, but in general, it's hard the first year of marriage because then two people become one. Everything, all the choices, you have to consider what your partner is feeling. Do you think you want this? Can I buy this? Things like that. Do you think it's better if we do this? And before you were married, you can make choices, whatever you want. But now, because you guys are living together, you guys are building a future together, everything that you do will affect your partner.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that is one thing that made it hard for the first year. Only the choices, pretty much. In terms of feelings, it's not that hard. But yes, that was interesting. Very interesting
That was
vlog.
good.
But anyways, this is where we will end today's podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening, and thank you guys for watching. And I'll see you guys for the next vlog, Vlogmas Day 7 tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.